know what that was? Oh, that's doo-doo, baby.
Be able to financially provide for 4 women the same way you loving on 4 women. But Lewis, I know you had something to say before I go in.
I just want to know, why is this conversation always one-sided? Like, why is it polygamy when we think of, like, do women have multiple husbands?
Yeah, it's called polyandry.
I just said, is it all right? Is it okay for the woman?
That's what you asked.
Is it all right for the woman to have, if she can pay to play, if she's a woman of that caliber and she has the bag as well, is it the same rules for her?
It's not.
To have
No, actually
men?
there is, because it's called polyandry.
Yeah, that's weird though.
So polygamy,
weird.
is the entire act of the marriage period, right? But polygamy is a man with multiple wives. Polyandry is a woman with multiple husbands.
Yeah.
It's polygyny. 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 Give me a second. Google, can you tell them how to pronounce it?
Polygyny.
Not polygamy. I get triggered when I hear people say it wrong. Just click it on Google.
So
Polyandry?
Polyandry
is men with multiple wives?
No, polyandry is women with multiple husbands. Polygamy is men with multiple wives. Polygamy represents the whole shebang.
Polygamy.
Yeah. So polygamy
Polygyny
represents the relationship structure, right? But when you get into the specifics of man versus woman, polygamy is a man with multiple wives. Polyandry is a woman with multiple husbands. And you see this in India, you see it in Tibet. There's a lot of countries that practice polyandry where the woman is having multiple husbands.
Really?
What?
Absolutely.
Yeah, keep they funky over there.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna stink over there. Listen up.
Wait a
Guys,
minute.
It's so bad.
listen up. Hey, that's what I said. Listen up, man. Like, that's, you think that guys is jumping in, because you know if it's your wife, you jumping in, all nothing in there and all that, dude gonna jump. Once again, that's a jacuzzi come pool.
Do you know why they do it though? Do you know why they do it?
Niggas ain't finna be signing up for that.
They say they do it because
unless they poor bums and slaves. Then they with it, but ain't no nigga got some stature finna sign up for that.
But you only equate it to sex. We're getting
Right.
because look at it like this. The reason why they do it is because if a woman has all of the children, that means that when it comes to inheritance, who gets the land, who gets the whatever, they're all from one lineage. But if a man has multiple wives, then each of those wives is looking for some.
Yeah.
So
true.
those coaches believe that if you actually let the woman have multiple husbands, you tend to keep the family like things in the
I
family.
definitely can say that.
You don't know which child is yours. This is gross, yo. This is gross. Women they self don't even want multiple guys running around. So that's why it don't make no sense. I'll be honest with you right now. I have never met one guy that only wanted one vajayjay. It might be guys saying now that, oh, I'm married, I love her, but I never met one guy that like thought gross about threesomes. Women being put in a threesome, you know, a lady with 2 guys, they got a name for that stuff.
As a man, if you have multiple women and you want to have multiple women, you allow your woman to at least have just one other man.
Hell
be a
no.
happier man.
But no, we would not.
No.
Like, my thing is, I can't speak for everybody.
Talk to him.
I have never had just one girl ever in my entire life.
Right.
So when it comes to experience of dealing with multiple women, I can do that. But if a girl, unless she had multiple men her entire life, like, to be able to juggle somebody's emotion is a skill. You can't just jump into this and think that you can deal with this girl emotion,
well,
that girl.
I think if you give her a chance to see how well she can do, she can get a little practice on your.
No practice on me. You gotta come prepared.
For sure.
In general, you have to get it going at some point. So if you guys feel like that's something that you should be able to do, then I think you should be open-minded to the woman being able to see at least one other guy.
Yeah, not with me. But
Yeah,
I'm definitely open-minded.
There's guys out there that are willing to do it. Like, I don't see why they keep saying this thing. There's guys out there, polygyny, we both have to agree to this thing. Like, it's an agreement. There's guys out there that'll do it. You ain't gonna find that many. But it ain't my fault that besides over here in Western, there's women out there that'll do polygyny. Like, so I should be open to it. Why the hell would I be open to like a lady's parts being infested with all types of, that's gross.
To it, like,
but it's crazy because it still comes down to emotional intelligence. You just said it. Yeah. You know how this shit goes. You know how to understand this shit goes.
This is why Robbie like niggas ain't.
Right?
And they ain't saying nothing.
Who here thinks that numbers don't lie?
Numbers don't lie. I agree to a degree.
Okay, so
Because
look,
there are times where numbers don't, where it's quality over quantity. So
let's go.
So you do think numbers lie? That's all you had to say.
With numbers for a second. Numbers
Okay.
don't lie. Let's
Break
just,
it. Come on, man. Get
let's
this.
just,
to me.
let's
These numbers here.
Cash, let's just walk with this.
this is my look.
I love it, right? So now let's say if I'm a guy and I have 5 wives and I have a good inheritance for all 5 wives, and I want to keep the legacy going. Now, let's say I get them all pregnant, right? How many kids can I have in 1 year?
Well, we know that you guys can have multiple children in 1 year. We're not going to get into that. Let me tell you why. Because
Damn, you
just go off the
right
you
past.
said Cash, so Cash giving it back.
Yo, Cash, I love it.
I love you, but I want you to know that that's all bull. Because can you manage the emotions of 5 pregnant women is the real question. And how much trauma is that woman going to pass on to the children due to the neglect of you not being able to care for her emotions and feelings? Because it's easy to put a baby in a woman. But you know that the trauma that woman passes by not being cared for probably by you because you think just throwing her a couple dollars is all it is. You can't rub all their backs. You can't be there when they all throwing up. You can't do all of it. You can't be there if they all went in labor at one time. So you got to think about the commitment outside of sex and just you having a bag. Is all I'm saying.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
You just said a whole bunch of nothing right there. You are still putting Western culture, aka monogamy, you are still putting that on people right now that is practicing a completely different culture. All that you said meant nothing. And then you brought up money. That was insane. Can a guy regulate 5 different emotions? They can. Can every guy? No. But guess what? Polygyny is not meant for every guy. Not every man has multiple wives. There's no culture, there's nowhere where every man had multiple wives. Nowhere. Some men don't even have one. This conversation is just filled with nothing. Like you don't know what you're talking about. What they're saying is, I don't like this thing, don't do it. That's all they're saying.
So wait, hold on. I could preach back, baby.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
I want to hear you. I want to hear you.
Most women, and I have 2 kids, right? 1 on the way, about to be 3.
Congratulations, brother.
Congratulations.
Thank
That
you.
boy ain't playing out
Baby, is
here.
it all 3 different women?
Never.
How
Not
many?
One woman.
Oh, yeah, that's cold. Come on, Rico.
I play ball.
Come on, Chef.
He's
Yeah.
friends too, Rico.
You fuck with that.
Hold on, you said you've never been with one woman.
Yeah, but you know, there's a story with that.
Yeah, but let me get into that.
You got pregnant
Next
almost at home talking this
That's a
Next
whole
episode.
Yeah, that's
But
another.
let ass when this episode come
So-
out.
Where are you coming from?
So, Cash, the thing is this, right? And this is something that I've experienced. It was never I don't want to call it a burden, but just for lack of better terms, the burden of dealing with the emotions of a pregnant woman was never all on my shoulders. She had her mother there. She had her sisters there. She had her aunt. She had my mother there. So if women
You're just saying it's like a village. She had other family members to also help support. I think that's all he's saying.
are pregnant together, they're going to naturally aid each other and support women naturally support each other through anything. So if they were all in one community, this is one whole agreement, everybody's aligned, they're gonna definitely help support each other as well as I do my best to
So
to balance.
basically, you're going to put the baby in them and leave the responsibility of each of them to care for each other.
Not leave.
He never said that. You was just listening to respond. He didn't say that. He said that the things that you're acting like these women are gonna lose their minds. They're gonna just lose their minds if they don't get these things. They have support systems with them. So that means if the guy, let's say the guy's taking care of these 3, and there's these 2 over here. Those 2 are literally, they can be supported by somebody else, even though what he meant to say is that, I think he did say it, women support each other. And guess what? If I'm looking after this one, there's 4 to talk to each other. If I'm talking to these 2, there's 2 to talk to each other. Like, no matter what you want to say, you're just building an argument to say that you need to care about me so much, you need to drop everything to pay attention to me, which by your logic, a man shouldn't even go to work. By your logic, a man going out to work is now leaving you by yourself. But now you're saying when he gets back, he got to focus everything on you. You hear what you're saying, right? Before you say anything, just let that sizzle in your spirit. That's what you're saying. A man can't even go to work based off of what you're saying.
That's what you're saying.
It's not leave, it's share.
And then you got money for caretakers. We got nannies. We got butlers. If we got enough, you gotta think about it though. If I got enough money for five women, I gotta have money for
It doesn't. You know, I was pregnant with my sister and we love each other too, but we still talk shit about him if he wasn't there when he needed to be, because
the door.
at the end of the day, your commitment, 50% of your DNA is up in them. And you're going to leave
Cass,
some of your DNA in me after I push this baby out.
Cass,
So
look.
come on.
Let me just ask you this question.
Yes.
If you were still, hypothetically, still talking about him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he only had you, it didn't matter if I had 1 or 5.
Still gonna talk about him.
Yes.
That's correct. You set yourself up for that.
That's
You're
not
talking
true
about me
because
regardless.
it depends on what type of responsibility you're showing for the circumstance. The reality of it is pregnancy is unpredictable.
Yeah, sure.
Right? It could come with different risks. And yes, there can be a village sort of thing. I got a great village at home, but at the end of the day, none of them put my legs back at 180 degrees and
hold
bust
on.
a nut up in me.
One thing
Come on,
we're
Lewis.
missing,
What you gotta say, Lewis?
one thing we're missing, right?
Uh huh.
Polygamy is an agreement.
There we go.
It is.
So the accountability, if she wants to be talking after she agreed to do this, that's on her.
It's supposed to
He's
be
right.
an agreement.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be. But here's
On-
what I can tell you. A lot of times everybody's not having to say so. And that's where polygamy gets a little tricky. When it's a patriarchal
She doesn't know what she's saying. She doesn't know what she's saying right now. She's saying a lot of times, but she doesn't know what she's about to say. She's about to just go off of her feelings.
of environment where that woman's voice is naturally suppressed anyway, right? Because culturally, this is what we do. We let him have multiple wives.
Yeah.
Then not a lot of those women have a lot of choices in it. If they want to, if you go outside of our country, because polygamy is not a thing in
Right,
the U.S.
right.
You go outside of our country, baby, I promise you that if they actually felt like they had to say so, a lot of them would not be saying that. I know women who are married to
Right now, she's just going off of however she feels.
Nigerian men who have cultures that allow them to take other wives, and they accept it, but they're not happy with it.
I get
But that's
that
just
they're
in
not
life.
happy with
Yeah.
it, but at the end of we have you here, we have Ra here.
You can't even use Nigeria. You're using countries that are westernized now. So they think like the people over here. Go to the countries that have not been westernized and see if the women are actually sad. Because you want to know something that people don't want to say, which is true? If you give people options, they try to just take whatever you give them. So if you don't limit people with options, they're happy until you offer them a new option. My mama used to always say a saying that it's not what the baby want that make them so that's really what it is. If you take away this supposed thing that these women now get to say, oh, I like how I look, I want it, they would have never complained until you just put something in front of them. Now they're saying they want it. It sounds kind of harsh, but that's really what it is. Men and women technically do that. If you give them an option, they're gonna weigh their options now and say, oh, I might want that. Oh yeah, I'll take that. That's really what it is.
Two entrepreneurs, two independent women. You guys are making the choice to be that. What if I told you couldn't be that? Would you fucking
That's not how it is over there, though, Lou, because culturally they're raised and groomed from young to know that this is the standard
At a
and
certain
this is
point,
what
you have to take accountability for
you
yourself and say,
can't.
if
Not in
that's
these
not
countries.
correct.
There's a
I
lot of
don't like
Nigerians
it.
in America.
Listen,
so they
but
definitely
in
find a
America,
way.
Sure.
polygamy is not a legal structure. In these other places, it is. So you can't take more than one wife legally in the United States, but you can in these countries where they groom these men to take multiple wives, and these women are groomed to accept it. They have no choice.
But Cass,
Okay, all right, give me a second. So you're saying they're groomed to doing this thing, but only 23% practice polygyny. They say polygamy right now, which is the umbrella term, so we don't even know how many of them is doing polygyny, but only 23%. But it's practice. Those women ain't got no choice. Only 23. And most of them only have 2 wives. Polygyny is most often found in sub-Saharan Africa, where 11% of population lives in arrangements that include more than one spouse. She doesn't know what she's saying. So my dear, you're saying that they've been raised into this thing, which means they're not being forced into it. But for some reason, the percentage of people, even in Africa, only a tiny percent of them do it. Now, I'm not saying nothing, but I'm saying you don't know what you're talking about.
can we agree that polygamy has been around longer than monogamy?
I would say that I would say that both depends on where you grew up in the world, but I would say to a degree. And look, and again, like I said, I'm ethically non-monogamous, so I consent to certain,
Yeah, I
right?
love that.
I consent to certain behaviors outside of the bedroom,
Yeah.
but I know I'm an emotional I'm a crises. That's what he calls me, Pisces.
Crises.
I'm a crises.
Watch out now.
So if you can't handle 5 of me, then nigga, you deserve a Nobel Peace Prize.
But also like Lewis said though,
You're traumatized. Not one man should deal with a lady who has trauma. Ain't this the lady who said that she had that horrible stuff happen to her in her life? Shouldn't nobody have to deal with a person who is broken? But you know, I guess I'm gonna start sounding like the bad guy. So I'm gonna just back up.
if you have these conversations before you get into this, we already got a plan, we got structure.
That's it.
If I'm a millionaire, like high level millionaire, that's when I'm gonna do it, right? I got 5 women. I'm a structured person already about my business, about my life, about everything. So when I bring these women in, they're gonna get some understanding before we get to that step. So they're not gonna get all discombobulated during the mission. We signed up for this. We got propaganda laid. This is how we move it. On top of that, I'm gonna have caregivers. I got nannies. I got butlers. I got all this situated. You got your own house over there. All that's not gonna go awry.
I love
You know
all
what I'm saying?
of
Because
that.
we're gonna be structured around here. That's how it's gonna work.
The same way women don't catch feelings when we say, oh, we just
Hey, then you got to go. And if it get out of
you
hand,
go into
you
a,
lied.
you get out. I get somebody new
I
in
don't
here.
believe in no
Don't mess up
relationship
the
that's
conglomerate.
anything permanent relationship don't exist. Only permanent agendas. If we on the same page, our relationship stays persistent. If the minute that my page is different from yours, that relationship is coming to an end. So they might go into it agreeing one thing, but people can't always handle what the sign up for. So I do think
Well, those women ain't submissive. Those women, yeah, that's really what it is. You just said they're not submissive. They're not actually willing to just listen to their guy, because your agenda should be whatever his agenda is. If your agenda is different from his, you ain't supposed to be in a relationship with that guy. I didn't like what I just heard.
I'm not disagreeing with you though. I want y'all to know I'm not against polygamy. I'm just
Right.
pointing out
Well,
the
just
other
I think
side.
it's
Yes, she is.
important for and I can only speak for a man. For women to understand that when a man has more than one woman, she's providing different things. So we're never gonna have a woman provide the same thing as the next, because then they're gonna clash.
neither is two
So-
guys with different sizes.
Well, no. We're not talking about.
you
Yeah, we're
sex.
talking about that.
Let's just say I got this one girl right here, and she's a super dope caregiver, nurturer. I got another girl right here. She's big into business, and she helps build me financially, or build us financially. So now I got 2 different women who are serving different purposes. So they won't clash, and I'm gonna love them differently, but the same amount.
So
That's
let me
how
tell you
polygamy
about what we
works.
can receive from different men. Okay.
Jesus.
So what if I got
That just gave me the
what if I
chills.
got
Yeah, that was good, brother. I fuck with that.
What if I got the big, amazing, strong male that's sexually satisfying every possible need and then some? Then he might be kind of, busy. He might have to like run around and work. Then I got one that listens to me and talks, and we laugh and we watch movies together. He listens to me complain about how my big is never around.
You mean you have a gay guy? You got 2 of them. 2 of them who are part of LGBTQI plus community, and one of them is just, one of them is Shamar.
Right. To give it to him right.
And then what if I got one that really ain't like the rest of y'all? He has multiple women. I'm just one of his big. He drops off a bag every couple of weeks and says, baby, we're going to get together soon, but here, go shopping.
It sounds like you don't know what you want.
Wait, y'all don't know what it's y'all. Y'all don't know what y'all.
Right.
Big screen. He was right. Sound like you have a very, very chaotic life. But she was just giving an example. But back to the other lady. The other lady was just saying a whole bunch of nothing. And then she had the nerves to say, but I'm not against polygamy, aka polygyny. Yes, you are. You gave all the arguments for me to just go ahead and check you off as you don't like it. And then the other thing when she said that, oh, no, I'm all right with my husband doing other things, yada, 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 yada. She's all right with that. But you still believe you can keep him on a leash. That's what I just heard. Your husband's not in the full dominant role. You still have him on a leash. That's all I keep hearing. And that's why when I hear her and certain women when they talk, I start thinking this is a trauma thing that's happening. You can't keep using Western culture and then trying to intersect it with the other cultures. Those other people completely disagree with everything you're saying. You believing that somewhere you and that guy have to be equal, and that's why. But that's just my opinion. This thing that she kept saying I don't know why everybody just won't go on Google and click the word and let Google tell you how to pronounce it. It's called polygyny. But yeah, you know, I think that's why it's kind of very difficult to deal with most women, especially if a lady says she agrees to polygyny, because you can't trust them. It sounds bad. You can't trust them, especially in this country where if she just says she don't want to do it, by actual law, she has something over you now. So you watch out for that. Every guy should watch out. Do not just take a lady word. She says she does this. Unless she has some type of religion or faith or some type of thing that she believes is higher than her. It sounds really bad when you say it out loud, but that's really what it is. I don't trust them.
Oh, you ain't know what that was? Oh, that doo-doo, baby.